3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Elijah in his LeBron James Team USA jersey, at least in spirit. LeBron was like a 24-year-old yesterday, man. That man is a bleeping machine.
He turned the clock back a little bit.
A machine.
Man. He turned the clock back.
What I loved was he had a moment where he had an and one and just flexed and screamed. And all it told me was how much this still means to him. And really, when we get to Olympic basketball, that's one of the things I want. I don't want to see these dudes going through the motions like we've seen a couple of times in my life, 1988, 2004. The 2004 guys sometimes say, oh, no, we weren't going through the motions. Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. But that's okay. It's over now. I'm not here to rehash a 20-year-old. What did they get a medal?
Don't think they
played. Did they play for the bronze and even lose that or something?
I think they might have lost that. It's either bronze or nothing. They definitely weren't even in the gold medal game.
No, right. I knew that.
They did take a fat L to Carlos Arroyo and the Puerto Rican national team at one point.
But anyway, yesterday was fun. Women's soccer was fun yesterday. The men's soccer team had a nice bounce back against New Zealand. The United States women are about to tip off, so we'll have you updated on that throughout the course of the afternoon. I just watched a little bit of the men's gymnastics win a medal. Those dudes, the rings, man. I don't know how those dudes do that kind of stuff.
That's intense.
That's nothing but you against gravity. There's nothing like those things just hang down with like ribbon or whatever that is.
My triceps hurt so bad watching that.
Just
watching it makes my triceps hurt.
Watched a little bit of tennis Joker, not basketball Joker. Same country.
They're both Serbian.
Same nickname.
Serbian Jokers.
And he kind of took it to Nadal a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, he took it.
So that Roland Garros, right? So they're on clay.
Yeah.
And he took it to Nadal on clay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think Nadal only has like a half a knee left, man.
He ain't got much left. Yeah. There's not much left in that tank.
But it was cool that he played and he was there. So that's I watched is it Emma Navarro? Yeah, Emma Navarro from Charleston. She played today. So Olympics are in full swing. Watched a lot of other stuff too. Yeah, I can't get to all of it. But
fencing was fun yesterday.
Fencing,
fencing action.
I've told you I have a new, well, not new anymore. It's not new. It's almost 30 years old. But in 1996, we went to fencing, and I got an appreciation for what that was like up close and personal, and it was cool.
A new appreciation that is almost
as old as 28 years old. Yes,
yeah.
It's 28 years old.
I myself am pretty new.
But Olympics going on. Gamecock football practice begins this week. The team will fully and officially report on Thursday. August camp, as yours truly likes to call it, begins on Friday. Saw Coach Beamer, I guess, was down at the beach doing a little fishing with Hunter. So that's good. Hunter had a fish that was pretty big, man.
Hell yeah.
When's the last time you caught a fish?
Last time I caught a fish probably was 2007.
Okay.
Long time. I haven't been fishing in it.
I haven't either. And I used to go with my granddad like all the time. And it's weird, man. Like for me, for both hunting and fishing, once I got to college and weekends were filled with sports of which I knew I was more than likely going to work in. Just, when a lot of my buddies were like, hey, come deer hunting with me, or come duck hunting with me. I'm like, man, I got to go do this.
It's Georgia week, man. Yeah. You gotta do this.
And some of those guys just didn't care as much as I did. But anyway, camp starts on Friday. We'll get into that for you. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., so as soon as we leave the air tomorrow night, is when the Major League Baseball trade deadline is. And remember now, there's no more August waivers. If you're going to be on somebody's postseason roster, you got to be on their roster overall by tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Interesting story, by the way, because yesterday I saw that the Braves were having talks with the White Sox, who, by the way,
are super good at baseball.
I saw it, and I'd have to go back and find it for the specifics. But I think the White Sox have won just 21 games this year. Is that right?
I thought it was 27.
Well, whatever it is, here's the thing.
Still not a lot.
The tweet was if you if you take away the White Sox 2 14-game losing streaks, they would still have like the third worst record in baseball. I was like, man, that's some epic badness.
That's commitment to the bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of respect it.
But they have a very good pitcher named Garrett Crochet, who is only 25, 26 years old, big, tall lefty. He's good. But apparently he had his agent tell the White Sox and any potential suitors, I'm not going to pitch for you in the postseason if you trade for me unless you extend my contract first. And so a lot of teams were like, oh.
Scared him.
Okay. Well, then I guess we're not talking to you. So, White Sox, good luck with that. Because there's a guy you could get a lot for, a big haul. So maybe kind of a savvy move, but at the same time, you really want to be on a team that's got like 8 people at the ballpark?
This one, you want to hitch your wagon to, your professional wagon, if you will.
Then I guess the answer is yes.
Must really like the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Fun town, though. Fun town. I get it.
Yeah, I got to say, I hate to admit this. And Heath Klein wants to punch me the first time he knew that. I've never been to Chicago.
You have never been?
Never been to Chicago.
Wow.
Nope.
That's
been
one of those cities, I feel like,
yeah, I know, right?
At your age, I think as well traveled as you are in the United States.
Yeah, I've seen
that's a surprising
many
one.
of the capitals of Europe, and I've yet to see Chicago, Illinois.
Missing out. Chicago's a fun town, man.
And please don't anybody call me and say he said it wrong. It used to drive me nuts when I hear people say that. It's like the S is silent.
Always has been.
Yeah, it has. That's a fair point. But no, I've never been to Chicago. But I do think the Braves, they're looking for a pitcher, and probably they got Whit Merrifield, who then got hurt, but Whit's back and playing okay. The good news is the Braves took 2 of 3 from the Mets. Bad news is they're still scuffling.
Didn't look promising at first.
No. Max Fried will come off the IL next week. You have to just hope, as a Braves fan, that it is nothing more than forearm soreness. It was really precautionary for him to miss 2 or 3 starts. Yeah, I mean, you got to hope. This is what fans of sports clubs do. Hope that Matt Olson reverts back to last year's Matt, and not as Elijah said to me this morning, vintage Oakland A's Matt Olson, who swung at everything.
Late stage Oakland A's Matt Olson.
Sometimes even, I feel like, Matt, he's just never seen a pitch he doesn't want to swing at, right?
That man covets a home run.
I feel
needs it the way we need oxygen.
I feel the way about him that we used to say about Michi. There is not a shot on the basketball court that Michi Johnson didn't like. He liked them all. Was the ball in his hand, and could he see the basket? I'm going to shoot it.
Let it fly, baby.
Yeah. And Matt will swing at anything. But I think with the way the lineup is constructed right now, he's not seeing as many pitches to hit like he was last year, and that's making a big difference. But the Braves are still in first place in the wild card. So, I don't think you pack it in, right? I just don't think this team is built to pack it in. If they make no move, I suppose that's just a roll of the dice. And the Braves certainly will not be sellers.
No.
So,
that position.
You either stand pat or you try. And honestly, in the last little bit, I don't know what the Braves have right now that they can get rid of. Because if you are so uncertain of what your near to midterm future looks like, for instance, in the offseason, Max Fried's probably going to go. He becomes a free agent, and he's probably going to command around $30 a year. You're already paying Charlie Morton, who's, I think they say he's like 42. I think he's like 71. But he makes $20 million a year.
Might be some flubbing on that.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. At least he's like 68. And so, again, you could get a guy like Crochet, but do you You could go get him right now, but maybe you wait till the offseason and then you offer him a deal. I don't know. But tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, deadline. We're going to have a lot of fun today on the program. We're in sort of the final, I guess, week of just whatever we do here kind of a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Jam band type shows, freeform type shows. But we do have some specificity.
Wow.
That's
a big word, hard to spell, harder to pronounce correctly.
Specificity from our own Elijah Campbell. If you were with us on Friday's program, you heard us break down 16 events. There were several to choose from beyond the 16. But 16 events in Gamecock athletics since the turn of the century that you all will now be voting upon as the best of the new century. Now, today we have
the first College World Series title,
2010,
the Whit Merrifield hit.
UCLA.
The 2 straight wins in the College World Series that very same year against Clemson.
Right before you played UCLA.
To get them into the final round.
The birth of Michael Roth.
That's right.
Sort of. Well, not really the birth. I mean, he was alive. But
he was alive, but in a baseball sense.
The emergence.
Could you say a rebirth, a renaissance?
There you go.
A baseball renaissance of Michael Roth.
I like that.
A Rothissance.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You like that one?
Whoa.
You like that one?
All of a sudden, there's a T-shirt.
Did I just coin a new Gamecock baseball history phrase? I might have. Write that down, kids.
Bum, bum, bum.
Number 3, the Devin Downey game against Kentucky, against John Wall and Boogie Cousins.
Devin went nuts that night.
He did. 30 points. He went bananas. Bananas. And then the men's basketball upset of Duke in the 2017 NCAA tournament against Jason Tatum. The 60-plus point second half, fueling a pretty large upset.
And as I said,
really good Duke
I suppose there are contenders, but that was the best. I believe the best 20 minutes of basketball I've ever seen the University of South Carolina play.
Under any coach, any team.
The only number 2 I can come up with is, again, the Cincinnati game here in Columbia, 1998, I think it was. Yeah, 98, when Antonio Grant picked up the little, fumbled pass almost from BJ, top of the key. I don't know what the heck that was, but A. Grant picked it up, and he knocked it down. And that was the only point. I mean, for 39 minutes and 59 seconds, the Cincinnati Bearcats led that game. Or at least whenever they scored first.
Right.
But for 39 minutes, 39 minutes and 59 seconds, South Carolina never led that game. And then that ball went down, and Carolina won the game. An amazing second-half comeback. So that had been the best 20 minutes of basketball until that Duke game up in Greenville. Which, again, where'd that come from, man? I still don't know.
It kicked in at a really good time.
I still just do not know where that came from.
That entire run, man. That entire run. And then, spoiler alert, tomorrow, one of the moments will be beating Florida in the Elite Eight.
So you go to 107.5 The Game on the Twitters, you vote. We would love to have some reaction from you if you want to talk about these. We're going to talk about all of them and what it meant throughout the course of the afternoon. We got some Olympic stuff to get to. Patrick Mahomes has spoken on some of the new QB deals. We'll touch on that. We're following what's going on with the United States women's basketball team. They are getting it going, so we'll have updates for you from Paris on that one, as well as Asia Wilson leads the way for the United States. 803-404-6100 to be part of the program on the phone lines or the Firehouse Subs text line. Again, go vote. We'll talk more about what you're voting on as the postgame show rolls on. 20 minutes after 3 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the Postgame Show. He's Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Thank you so much for being with us. Hope you had a nice weekend. Grilled some burgers on Saturday. Hot dogs last night. Just went All-American this weekend. I don't know why. I just had a...
Olympics.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think it's subliminal.
I don't know.
At this point, you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
How can I flex my Americanism in the wildest way possible?
Yeah. Cut the grass yesterday. Finally, after all the rain.
You shotgun a Budweiser afterwards. Now you would really be.
I should have.
You would really be doing the American weekend.
I just asked you earlier, when's the last time you caught a fish? When's the last time
Oh, man.
Now, see, for you, the last time you shotgunned a beer might, excuse me, I'm just trying not to laugh.
Sooner than you think, buddy.
I don't know when the last time I shotgunned a beer. I'm not very good at that, by the way.
I'm not either, which is why, so one of my fantasy football leagues of like old friends back home, we have a group chat, and whoever finishes last, scores the least amount of points that week, has to shotgun a tall boy of a beer of someone else's choice.
Oh, my.
On video and drop it in the chat. And there was one week where I did have, is a super flex league, multiple quarterbacks. Best way to do it. That's the way.
Super flex.
It's a super flex. Flex so hard you might pull something. But, had both my quarterbacks go down before halftime. Disastrous week. Had to shotgun a tall boy, and a buddy of mine said, do Budweiser. So I had to shotgun a tall Budweiser.
They should at least do one of your choice.
No. See, we can't make this. We can't make this too much
Because what if
fun.
But what if it's crappy?
Oh, that's the point.
Yeah, but then you're just like, I don't know. At least, well, I get it.
That's why you don't finish last.
Oh, that's fair.
In any given week.
That's fair. I don't know, man. I how old are you? 29?
I am 29. I'll be 30 in March.
I can assure you
Big 3.
I was younger than you the last time I shotgunned a beer.
Oh, boy.
I was probably a lot. I don't even know. I'm not very, I can chug. Like, if you give me a cup full, I can.
You can house something.
Chug. But I can't shotgun it. I just feel like I'm making a mess.
It is very messy. It's not something you do indoors.
And
you do not do that indoors.
I know some people who once had one of those beer, like, funnel things.
Oh, God. See that? Ugh. Never done one of those. Never plan.
Yeah.
Never plan on it.
Again, you just make a mess.
It's a mess.
Yeah, I don't need that.
Super unsanitary.
I don't need that. 803-404-6100 to join us, especially if you want to weigh in on the first 4 of 16 greatest moments in Carolina sports history since the turn of the century. Again, today's choices on Twitter at 1075 The Game is the handle. The winning the first College World Series title in 2010, the extra inning thriller, Whit Merrifield. Whit got mad at me one time. I called it a flare to right. He's like, whoa. That was a line shot. I was like, well, all I meant was it was an oppo, and it just kind of flew its way out there. I didn't mean it like it was one of those. And he was right. Like, a flare is more of like a pop-up.
Yeah. All
I meant was it was just a shot out to right, But again, it was more like the oppo thing. That's what I was.
I hear flare, and I see that play, and I don't completely disagree.
He didn't like it.
He didn't like that.
I mean, he didn't like scream at me or anything. He's like, no, that was a line shot. And I was like, no, all right, that's cool. My bad.
Hey, you hit the game-winning hit of a College World Series, right. And you get to say whatever the hell
label
it is you
whatever you want. Exactly.
That's right. That's how this works.
And again, choice number 2 is the back-to-backs over Clemson just to reach the College World Series finals. Mm-hmm. Choice number 3 is the Devin Downey game against Kentucky, also in 2010. And choice number 4 today, the men's basketball upset of Duke in the second round of the NCAA tournament up in Greenville back in 2017. Again, maybe, as I've said, maybe the best 20 minutes of basketball ever played by a team representing the University of South Carolina. If there's one from longer ago, it wouldn't matter for this particular survey, if you will.
Right.
But if there is one, I'd love to know which one it is. And I'm not here to really argue with you. Like I said, Cincinnati, 1998, would have gotten my vote for anything prior to this.
I think my favorite thing about this game isn't just that, it's a cool upset in the second round of the NCAA tournament with a school that doesn't have a long history of making deep runs, but how it ended. It was emphatic. That it had how many steals and dunks at the end? There was like 3 or 4 dunks, like breakaway dunks at the end of that game. Like, it's one thing to pull an upset. It's another thing to do it as emphatically as like flushing a few down in front of an entire arena that is pulling for you to pull this upset off.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite memories of that game.
I forget the episode now, and you'll see where I'm going with this. I forget which episode it is, but there's one where Smithers is talking to Mr. Burns about something, and they mention New Mexico. And Mr. Burns, like pleasantly incredulous, goes, "There's a New Mexico?" and I feel like the Duke players that night were like, "There's a South Carolina?" You know, like I don't know if they knew who they were playing. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
they got off to a hot start. I think they definitely, because they got up double digits. It was a 7-point lead at the break. And from there, they went cold. South Carolina's defense absolutely ramped up later on in that game. And it was a perfect storm for something like that to end up happening.
Speaking of basketball, real quick here, we'll get back into this. United States and Japan, 7 minutes to go. Second quarter, USA up 30-18. This is their debut performance. Dawn made some news yesterday at the Olympics. She was on the national broadcast with Mike Tirico after the men's team had played, and Dawn made mention of being part of the selection committee for the United States women's roster. And Tirico, doing his job, asked about Caitlin Clark and that selection process. And Dawn said, then she had just come out of college, and we just had the draft, and we had to make decisions, and, we know she's good. If we were able to pick today, we probably do put her on the team, or at least she gets a lot more, recognition. And a lot of people, some people were, look, social media reaction is really not a way to measure the public reaction in general. Most of the Twitter reaction, it seemed, was negative. Some was supportive and understanding. I totally get it. Look, I said to you, you have to put all of these things into our good friend Deuce Staley's pot of gumbo, as he used to say. And part of this pot of gumbo is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great player, but you also know that the women on this team have paid their dues, and I think that's also a big part of this. I saw someone make the analogy to Christian Laettner being part of the Dream Team. And if you ever wondered, why was Christian Laettner part of the Dream Team? It's because the Olympic Committee back then had said, well, we've always had college players. So if we're now going to the pros, let's at least put whoever, is responsible, to decide this, the best college player right now. And that was ultimately decided to be Christian Laettner, which was a fine choice.
It just didn't age very well when Shaq turned into being Shaq.
Right. And that's fine. But Laettner had won a couple of titles, and Duke was great. I mean, Shaq was obviously, he was dominant as well. So again, you're always going to have somebody that gets rubbed the wrong way with that. And the same thing with Caitlin. But Dawn yesterday, as she has always done, it's weird how some people want to paint Dawn into a corner of not having praised Caitlin for a time. And
she does it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you are at all of her press conferences. And we all pay attention to her around here. I cannot even recall one time when she was anything other than giving her high praise, doing anything other than giving her high praise.
And people are thirsty for conflict and friction.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but I know that's the world we live in. But she was very complimentary of what she's doing, calling her an elite passer and scorer, and she is.
After the national championship game, said she's one of the greatest to ever play the game.
And who's to say that Caitlin, who's 22, won't be like what Sue Bird is right now.
Mm-hmm. Which is a Hall of Fame basketball player.
And somebody who's doing great things and can play for a long, long time on these teams. Diana Taurasi's like 40 something.
Yeah, she's played in 5 Olympics?
I mean, so why can't that be her? I mean, she'll be that, and she'll get her chance. And next time it'll be in America. So we'll come back around with some more thoughts on what's going on with the poll question. Keep you updated on what's happening in Paris. USA up on Japan before halftime. It's the Postgame Show. Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union doing great things for folks who want to do their banking and save money all at the same time. A lot of big banks charge you, a lot of fees for keeping a checking account or a savings account. Maybe even higher rates when you're using a credit card or any other thing like car loans, especially right now. Listen, terrific rates on car loans, much lower than a lot of banks can do for you. No better place than Palmetto Citizens to finance that next vehicle. They have terrific low rates on all new to 2021 models. They've also got some great options for older vehicles as well. And speaking of options, some of them come with no payments for 90 days. They can finance over 100% of the retail or purchase price and offer additional coverage and insurance options that dealerships cannot beat. So check out palmettocitizens.org for your next car loan or your next credit card or checking or savings or any of your banking needs. My wife and I are members. We love them. Again, palmettocitizens.org, where you can achieve your potential. Talking some Olympics, talking our vote for the best moment in Gamecock athletics since the turn of the century. We're doing that on our Twitter page at 1075 The Game. As it stands right now, the first College World Series title win in 2010 is well out front of the two wins in that same tournament over Clemson just days before against the Bruins. You beat the Tigers twice. Third is the men's basketball upset of Duke, round 2 of the NCAAs back in 17. And hanging in there with a plucky 1.9% is an amazing Devin Downey performance against previously, at the time, undefeated and number 1 Kentucky. The first time, I believe, that South Carolina had beaten a number 1 team on the home court.
Very fitting for Devin Downey, who was one of the best plucky underdog point guards.
Or at least the first time in a
college
long
basketball.
time. I feel like maybe Frank McGuire's teams.
I had two of it at some point.
Yeah, but just maybe not in Columbia or something like that.
Maybe. That was a loaded Kentucky team. Kentucky team that honestly should have gone to the Final Four if it wasn't for Joe Mazzulla in West Virginia.
I saw that. Let me go back to it. I saw that Cal just picked up a big recruit.
They did. One of the best point guards in the country.
His name's Darius Acuff, and he chose Arkansas over Kansas and Michigan, amongst others. And I kind of made, I chuckled to myself because I felt like, I don't know, for the last 10 years or so, it just feels like it's been like the John Calipari, NBA prep academy being held on the campus of the University of Kentucky. And now, the John Calipari NBA Prep Academy is simply, moving now to the campus of the University of Arkansas. And that's probably not fair to Cal, but that's what he touts. You hear, again, and that's what we talked about with Kentucky fans and why they were just desperate for change. They want to win. They care about how many dudes are going to the NBA to represent their school, but did those dudes come through their school caring about their school and winning for their school? Did their head coach care about prepping guys for the NBA more than he cared about winning? And while he might not, the evidence seemed to suggest that you could make that case. And so, again, good for Darius Acuff. I guess he'll be a one-and-doner.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of those guys are going to be at Arkansas.
And is that what Arkansas is going to have to get used to? The John Calipari NBA Prep Academy. They sell like T-shirts.
If you're an Arkansas fan and you made fun of how Kentucky was one and doneing with players and in the NCAA tournament, you might have to go ahead and start getting used to it, because there's not been a ton of tournament success given the talent that comes in.
No, not enough.
Because he's not a good. I don't think he's a great in-game coach.
That's what I think.
I think he's a pretty good developer of talent.
Yes.
To a degree, there have been a couple flops. I think
there's always going to be a flop.
The way he used Bam Adebayo at Kentucky, I thought was criminal, considering what he turned out to be in the NBA and not starting Devin Booker hardly. And
Bam had a few nice plays yesterday.
He did. And Bam's turned into a really good NBA player and used completely different than he was when he was at Kentucky. Devin Booker used completely different than when he was at Kentucky. And by that, I mean he starts and plays. Reed Shepherd had a fantastic summer league. I think will be a really solid pro. Him and Rob Dillingham were elite level NBA draft picks, combined 6 starts last season. There's a lot of head scratching stuff. Like he does develop a lot of guys at least in a year to get better and to improve their stock, but the wins haven't necessarily.
Will Devin Booker be okay when Tatum takes his place in the next game?
Maybe, if Jason Tatum gets to play.
Well, that's what Steve Kerr says that he's going to.
He's going to, yeah.
And he said he didn't hold him out for anything other than just, matchups and, getting guys in, and that Tatum played a lot in the ramp up and that KD did not, and they wanted to get KD's feet wet, and I'd say he got his feet wet, but made his first 8 shots.
I'm cool with Jason Tatum not playing and letting Kevin Durant do what he did yesterday.
I think Jason Tatum is probably going to be okay with Jason Tatum not playing if KD keeps doing that and they win the gold medal, right? But he will play.
Yeah.
Tatum will play.
Yeah, absolutely will.
But yesterday was fun. By the way, did you like D. Wade as the color analyst?
He was all right. He's working. You could tell he's new to this, but there's some good stuff of him using his, I guess, relationship with some of the players. And some analysts, I think, do fall into a trap of that's all they got is, I'm friends with this guy.
Right.
But tell me more about this player. Right. What makes them tick? What makes LeBron James great? Right? What makes him great in this 3-on-2 situation where he always knows where to make the right pass, or, what is a good story where you had to guard Kevin Durant and you're like, wow, I can't stop this guy because he can do this. We don't care about your friendship with all these guys. We care about, your experience playing with them and against them and what makes them really good. I think he's learning it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's got the foundation that could be a pretty solid color analyst, but there were times where I was like, I get it. You're friends with him. I get it. I get it, buddy.
Yeah, mixed bag, but it's early, so I'm not here to go, oh, my God, he's terrible, because he wasn't terrible. He was good. And I like Noah Eagle, who's, and there was a piece this morning, maybe at Awful Announcing, I think, or anyway, that could that be NBC's new pairing when they ultimately get the NBA back, which will still be one more season primarily with TNT.
Ooh, they're playing round ball rock in between commercials are ever going to and from break, and man, it gave me superpowers yesterday. That was uplifting.
By the way, I saw
immediate dopamine rush.
I think it was on Dan Patrick last week. They showed for a second, like during one of their, I think this is where it was, on one of their commercial breaks, they have like look-ins to the studio that you wouldn't get on radio when they do it on Peacock. And they had John Tesh in concert, which I guess he still plays round ball rock in concert.
Oh, yeah.
But he had like he had the full orchestra. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I've seen that video. I've seen at least a video.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's
many times, but it's awesome.
It is pretty cool. But I thought they did a good job yesterday. But the game was fun. And Serbia's good. Serbia came out. And, obviously, Joker is who he is. Bogdanovic is a good player. They've got guys that have had some cups of coffee in the NBA.
Filip Petrusev was a top 5 Wooden finalist when he was at Gonzaga during the COVID-canceled year.
And,
postseason.
And his coach is on the Olympic team for the United States, Mark Few. So it's, you're going to get a lot of people's best shot. And I think Serbia played I don't want to say they played as well as they can. I don't know that. I don't know where their ceiling is. But for, especially early, they came out hot. And as you mentioned, the way they play, a lot of screens, a lot of ball movement, a lot of ways to get a good look. Ultimately, the United States, I think Steve Kerr just made a quick little defensive adjustment, and it started to disrupt what it was that Serbia wanted to do. But then late, Serbia had a couple of like 8 or 10-0 runs, and because America at one point it really stretched out. And ultimately, if all you saw was the final score, you'd be like, what are y'all talking about? They kicked their butt. Serbia got it down to around 9 or 10 in the fourth quarter. And ultimately, again, America just proved too strong. But listen, he kept LeBron out there. You figure, okay, we're going to clear the bench. But remember, like a lot of international play, the point differential, goal differential, if you will, in soccer or hockey, but point differential is part of the standings.
It matters.
And it matters. And so, for anybody who wondered yesterday, why did LeBron shoot that? And then why did Steph follow it up? Because every point could count in group play.
Yep.
Yeah, in terms of who you might be seated up against, and you want to win your group, obviously. So that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
but I thought it was fun to watch. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, and fun Nikola Jokic stat here, just to give you a glimpse of how good this guy is. In the minutes that Nikola Jokic occupied the same floor as Team USA, the score was 81-81, wow. Tied up.
Okay.
In the minutes Nikola Jokic went to the bench, Team USA outscored Serbia 29-3. That made a pretty big difference.
Yeah, and that's why I say
that's how good that guy is, man. That's how good he is.
Right.
That's how even this game was whenever he's on the floor.
That's fair. And, I remember they said, I guess D. Wade was part of the team in 2008 that
the Redeem team
that beat the crap out of Spain in the group stage and then had to fight tooth and nail to win a gold medal. Again, I'll reference Deuce one more time here today like I often do, but one of my favorite lines from Deuce was, the other guys watch film too. Sometimes, fans only focus on their team, not thinking, well, we did that once, we'll go do it again. Nah. And their coach has been around for a lot of Olympics.
Yep.
So he knows what's up. 803-404-6100 to be part of the program. We'll come back with the latest on what's going on with our poll and an update on the women's team playing in Paris, their first game of the Olympics. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Monday afternoon, final Monday of July 2024. Gamecock football reports Thursday, starts August camp on Friday. Got Liverpool and United coming in on Saturday.
That's going to be a blast.
Look at the
It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
look at the forecast real quick while we're doing this. By the way, United States leads Japan 50-39 at halftime. To borrow from Roddy Piper back on the movie They Live, Asia Wilson came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and she's all out of bubblegum. 7 for 11 from the floor, 3 of 5 from the line, 7 rebounds, 17 points, 2 blocks. So
she will be putting up a monster double-double today.
She's doing all right. Let's see. Saturday in Columbia. Oh, good. The high is only 95.
Miserable.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I feel so bad. I don't know if these soccer players are prepared.
The guys that are from, like, Spain or Italy on these teams, they'll be all right. Mo Salah's from Egypt. He'll be all right. At least they're used to it to some degree. I did see in Paris this week it's going to be in the 90s. I didn't think Paris usually got that hot, so they must be having a heat wave in France. But yeah, these dudes from England, yeah, they're not used to this, man. You know, and I don't know. About a third of these teams are typically English, and maybe not quite anymore. They've got some new rules now to let a lot more foreign players into the English leagues. But yeah, if you're from London or Birmingham or Manchester or Liverpool or Newcastle,
this isn't your cup of tea.
No, like the other day at the Open, right? Because Troon is in Scotland, but it's not too far from Liverpool and Manchester on that side of the island. You know, it was like in the 60s and 50s, man. You know, it's like that's summer.
Classic,
you know?
UK summer.
Yeah, they're, you know, but if you're wondering, for those of you who are going, or if you're not, in summer in friendlies like this, it's not like unlimited. Like you can't put a guy back in substitution wise, I don't believe, but you're not restricted to the 5, and they will definitely have what they now call the hydration break. About halfway through a half, you know.
Gonna need that. Yeah, certainly.
You know what they should do? You know those like super like giant warehouse fans that stand not the ceiling fans, but the kind of like the big round ones that like stand up in a corner. They need to get like 4 of those in each corner of Williams-Brice and blow them into the middle of the field. I don't know if that would help, but like the biggest ones you can get, man. You know, just go rent for somebody somewhere rents those things. You put them on a truck. If we don't have them in Columbia, they probably got them in Atlanta. You know, or maybe you just get like 4 jet engines.
That might not even do the trick.
You know,
that also might not even be as effective as we think.
But I do. I went to see Arsenal play a team from Italy called Fiorentina up in Charlotte around this time of year. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Also on a day when it was about 95, 96. And it was every bit of 95 or 96.
Still
and
worth it.
I did. Oh, it was great. I mean, you know what? After a couple of beers, and I'm used to it, man. I'm used to, like, September games in Columbia can just be bleeping miserable.
You're conditioned for it.
Yeah, I've done it.
More so.
Like, and I'm from here. It's hot. Yes, it is hot. But I'm used to it. But I do. I'm going to feel badly for some of these dudes because L.A. was probably kind of nice for them. And United is getting ready to go to Philadelphia to play Arsenal, I think, on Wednesday before they come down to Columbia. I don't know where Liverpool's going to go next. Liverpool's going to be in town a few days longer, so they'll be more acclimated. or agitated. I don't know which.
Or bleeping over it.
Yeah.
Ready to go home.
But looking forward to that. But it'll be fun. All right, so again, you've got what time, by the way, Elijah, do these folks have? Does this go until like midnight or something?
Yes, 9 hours left.
Okay.
I tried to get it close to midnight, but my math was a little off. I was a little tired yesterday.
I don't do math.
Yeah, so it actually will be a little past midnight, but we still have 9 hours left in this poll.
Okay.
So far, 378 votes, so some good participants, some good participation here.
Yeah, 72.5. Say it's the first College World Series title.
Overwhelmingly. My hypothesis is that will win the entire thing.
Oh, yeah?
I think that will probably end up winning it.
Yeah, I suppose there's a bit of a nostalgic tug to that one, even if it's only 14 years ago. That was a big deal.
Yeah, your first revenue sport championship.
And I told you, even for that whole run, like one of the things that didn't make it, and I know, again, some things got to get cut, was Christian's home run in Myrtle Beach against Coastal. Again, the classic Ray to Morales line. Walker can't hit a 3-run homer if you're not on base. Hour 2 coming up.
He was right.
4 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. Second hour of the Postgame Show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios, downtown Columbia, alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Thank you so much for being with us, having fun with our Twitter poll, the first of 4 this week.
Thank you, because I just now looked at the text line, and there's a whole lot of people that did not, I guess, maybe just not have heard it. Because there's one, texter said, "Oh, not a single football moment on this list."
Yeah,
Time
there's
out.
16 total events.
And if you've ever if you've ever done a Twitter poll, you can't do more than 4.
Correct.
So we kind of have to break it.
Well, that's what we said. For those of you who were with us on Friday, Elijah gave us the 16 events that did make the cut, and 2 that I think were right on the cusp: the women's track championship and the Christian Walker home run.
They were all on the outside looking in, beating LSU, the women's basketball team beating LSU in Baton Rouge this past year.
I mean, you just can't. It's just hard. You can't. I mean, you gotta narrow it
16.
down.
Yeah.
But for those of you on the text line, this is like a bracket. This is like a a bracket thing. So there's 16
like
of them.
March Madness, baby.
And then this is gonna go. We're not taking the 16 down to 8.
No,
we're taking the 16 straight to 4. This is like group play with only one winner.
Yes.
So
you have to win it outright.
Yeah, you have to win the day, and you move on.
So I'll go ahead and even give you all the days in which each moment will be polled.
Oh, so we now know.
Yes.
Okay.
And by we mean me.
The committee voted.
The committee voted, the one-man committee, and
strong committee.
Tomorrow, I call this the Florida bracket, because they feature the 2011 College World Series championship against Florida to go back-to-back, beating Florida in the Swamp in 2010 to go to the SEC championship game.
That was a big deal.
Beating Florida to go to the Final Four in 2017 in men's basketball.
That was a big deal.
And then not Florida-related, but beating Tennessee in 2022 and scoring 63 points. So that's the options for tomorrow.
Well, it's orange at least. Wow, I don't want to... Ooh. I'm not going to say. I'm running that through my head.
Okay.
All right, so that's Tuesday.
Yes, that's Tuesday.
Wednesday,
this past year's national championship against Iowa, Dawn's third title. The 2010 win against Alabama in football.
Yep.
The Jadeveon Clowney play where he decapitates a Michigan running back, and that also kind of encapsulates the streak of New Year's Day bowl games.
Yeah.
And then the Camila Cardoso buzzer beater to beat Tennessee and preserve a perfect season in the SEC tournament.
Yeah. Which, that one's because of what it preserved, right?
Means a whole lot more than a normal conference tournament buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Which would already mean a lot.
Right.
But this, knowing what we know now,
right,
means a whole lot more than it did at the time, which even at the time, not going to lie, one of the craziest basketball games I've ever witnessed.
It was
in person.
It was. And we just got a hit that said 2012 Georgia. That was a fun game.
That was right outside the list.
Yeah. Or, I think because you have the Swearinger hit, right?
Yep, the Swearinger hit, which also encapsulates the
and that'll be
5 straight
W's. Is that part of Thursday's vote, I guess?
That will be part of Thursday's vote. Yep, along with beating Clemson in 2022, the 2022 Women's Basketball Championship, and the 2017 Women's Basketball Championship.
Yeah. Again, not taking issue, but as I just sit here and think out loud, like, again, the Dylan Thompson, third and long in Clemson in 2012.
That's a good one. Picking one of those moments was tough.
Yeah, it's just, you can't, again, you gotta, again, there have to be cuts. I mean, otherwise we just sitting here voting on everything. Yeah, the 2012 Georgia, that was like, what, that was a 35-7 game?
Mm-hmm.
Ace drops the punt and still scored a touchdown.
One of the most fun punt returns I've ever witnessed on television.
That game, man, that one, Carolina was really good that season, but that it's almost one because Georgia was good too, and it's not the same, obviously, but it's sort of like the Duke game that this part of today's. It was like, where'd that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sitting here expecting, Carolina was maybe a slight favorite that day at Williams-Brice. Certainly like South Carolina -24. Like, no.
Yeah, no. It's not like, oh my God, storm the field, massive upset,
right?
type deal. But National stage.
Yeah.
Like
Big
versus
game.
like.
Big game.
Some geographical rivalry there.
For Ace to do that. So yeah, they can't all make it.
Yeah.
But I would, if we didn't have championships and all we had were like singular play moment, like I'm thinking out loud that we could revisit this at some point.
Oh, for sure.
Of just a play.
Or just the best plays in Gamecock sports history.
Play, right?
I think you sparked an idea for next summer.
Yeah, like the Camilla thing, or again, the Walker homer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Clowney would still be there. The Dillon run would still be there. That ace punt return would
absolutely.
Yeah, I can think of like Shaw to Ellington in Columbia, Missouri. We could go on and on and on, so I better be careful.
That's the fun part about this.
Yeah. That's
talk about.
That's what we do.
Is get to tap into your memory. And my favorite thing about yesterday, whenever I put these actually put the videos and everything on Twitter, because we were doing a little video, I guess, vignettes of these moments, is a lot of people talking about where they were when they watched the game or remembering why. That's really the point of the whole exercise here, is to remember some really cool stuff that's happened with this athletic department in the last 24 years, 25, really. But it's been a lot of really cool moments. I mean, there's not a lot of schools that have all this.
Yeah,
especially with different sports.
Well, and that's it. There's for some of us that are around my age and have had kids like kind of being raised around the state in this in this century, if you will. It's for some of us, it's like, y'all don't know how good you have it relative to most of us.
To what it was.
With lots of, 5 national titles. There had been, there have been no national championships for a team in the, until this century. I guess, again, there are officially 6 with Coach Fry and the women's track team. But and again, a Final Four run for the men, which had never been done. All those super regionals in a row, which is like, again, it's making the Sweet 16. I get 6 trips to Omaha this century. I know you're ready to get back, fans. I get it.
But that run was legendary.
I get it. But 2-3 year runs to Omaha was a lot of fun. So anyway, have fun with it. 1075 The Game on Twitter. And, again, a winner today, a winner Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a weekend for everybody to think about it. And then a week from today, a full week of voting. Right? United States has stretched their lead in the third quarter over Japan. It is now 69-49 USA.
Nice.
Just over 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. America looking to win the gold medal again. When's the last time they didn't? I guess the summer games of maybe 80 when they boycotted. America boycotted. Is that right? I feel like that. Yeah, it has to be, right? I don't know. I have to go back and look. I feel like the American women. Now, again, the guys lost in 88 and 04. But I think the women have won every gold medal since 1984. I'll double check that for you. 69-51, the score right now. Japan just got it going. 803-404-6100. Let me get into a few things here. This came out after we left the air on Friday. But because they filed this out in California, so the end of the business day in California when this was officially filed in front of Judge Claudia Wilkin, but the Power 5, and it is still officially the Power 5 for the purposes of this settlement, and the NCAA, and the lawyers that represent the class of students did file the settlement in front of Judge Wilkin. There are 3 settlements officially. House versus NCAA is the big one, but Hubbard versus NCAA, Carter versus NCAA. These are all related to compensation and antitrust laws. The filing is the first big step towards formalizing this agreement. The details are starting to take a lot of shape right now. The NCAA, in a statement, said this is another important step in the ongoing effort to provide increased benefits to student athletes while creating a stable and sustainable model for the future of college sports. While there is still much work to be done in the settlement approval process, this is a significant step toward establishing clarity for the future of all Division I athletics while maintaining a lasting education-based model for college sports, ensuring the opportunity for student athletes to earn a degree and the tools necessary to be successful in life after sports. Here's how it looks. Schools right now can provide up to 22% of their average revenue directly in the form of compensation. That includes media rights, ticket sales, and sponsorships. That will increase, obviously, with inflation over the life of the current deals. Athletes can still get third-party deals from NIL collectives. There's nothing in this, by the way, that says we want NIL collectives to become in-house. Again, that is now allowed under a lot of state laws. They're still going to be out there fishing for a federal law. I got a hunch, again, that doesn't happen. It's certainly not happening this year. Maybe next year, but I don't know. I don't know.
Banking on it is a fool's errand.
Well, and our political climate is supercharged right now, and it'll need to die down a little bit. Yeah,
you think
it'll need to die down a little bit to where it's just regular charged as opposed to supercharged. But that will happen at some point, I think. And maybe this helps Congress. Like, okay, what did y'all settle upon? And in the federal court system, is anybody going to challenge this? There are still ways to do that. So you do have to think about some of that kind of stuff, too. The NCAA says it will create – now, here's where things, Elijah, start to get tricky. The NCAA wants to create a database of NIL deals to – and this is the words of Dan Murphy of ESPN – to try – I feel like Yoda here. Do or do not. There is no try.
No.
To try to objectively assess whether arrangements between an athlete and a third party qualify as a legitimate endorsement deal. Several coaches and athletics directors have told ESPN in the past weeks that they anticipate some form of NIL payments from collectives will continue. The settlement allows for the court to appoint a special master to rule on any disputes about new rules related to player compensation. I'm going to let y'all chew on that for a second, these last 2 points.
The potential for nastiness.
Because for as much as we talk about how things are now on the table, you can feel that there is still a giant sense of mistrust from some in college sports on the legitimacy of some of these. Listen, they're pretty much telling us now it's pay for play. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what we're doing. And everybody knows it now. So, anyway, just think about that. There's a few other details that I'll give you. But, again, all this came out on Friday after we left the air because, again, it was being filed at the end of the business day in California. So we'll get you a few more details on that, keep you updated on what's going on with Asia Wilson and the U.S. women's basketball team. They are comfortably ahead of Japan as we go to the fourth quarter. You're listening to the Postgame Show. 19 minutes after 4 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Again, go to 1075 The Game on Twitter and vote for the first 4 choices. Greatest moments in Gamecock history since 2000. Poll number 1. Again, 4 more tomorrow, 4 more Wednesday, 4 more Thursday. Today, it's the first College World Series title in 2010. The thriller against UCLA. Whit Merrifield's shot to right to win it all at Rosenblatt. Final play in Rosenblatt Stadium for the College World Series.
Making it even more historic.
Yeah, speaking of Rosenblatt, choice number 2, the back-to-back wins over Clemson just days prior to that UCLA series that allowed Carolina to play for the national title. Had to beat Clemson twice. Remember that. Had to beat them twice.
And did it.
And number 3 is the Devin Downey mega performance against number 1 Kentucky over at CLA. Devin went nuts that night. Carolina pulled off the big upset. And they also, I think they beat Kentucky in Rupp that year, too, if I'm not mistaken.
They might have. Or that year or the year before.
Might have been the year before.
Yeah. Because Devin Downey did beat Kentucky twice.
Yeah, might have been the year before. And the 4th choice is the men's basketball upset of Duke. Second round NCAA tournament back in 2017 up in Greenville. Again at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena.
Beating Jason Tatum, who, speaking of the Olympics, on the Olympic team. In the news. Had a pretty good summer.
A little bit of a break right this second, so I can't see the score of the women's game, but they were up by like 20-something.
They're showing as Sabrina Ionescu 3. They are, dropping the hammer. 86-62.
Oh, my, yeah, 86-62. Yeah, they're playing well.
Yeah. Hey, one team has Asia Wilson, the other does not. Would you like to guess which one has Asia Wilson?
America?
You'd be correct.
There you go.
The one that's winning by 24 points. Yes.
I haven't even seen her much this half. She had 17 at the break.
She did get a rebound putback that I did see, so I know she's got at least 19 and 8.
Yeah.
At least.
Well, it's kind of like the men's team. Just which lineup do you prefer?
That's right.
But you can't just interchange players. You still have to have a basketball role. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But you and I were talking about why Olympic basketball is not NBA basketball or WNBA basketball.
And the difference does mess up some players. And I think that's one of the reasons why Joel Embiid has been atrocious for Team USA.
Well, that and yesterday he was booed mercilessly by the French.
Every single time he touched the ball.
I think every time he breathed.
They would boo him.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I felt kind of bad for him, but I get it. And we'll tell you the story about that. Let me finish this other one up here real quick. Again, the NCAA, the Power Five, and the plaintiffs' attorneys all filing in California on Friday the settlements that will lead to a restructuring of business in college sports. Here's what's interesting. Let me, if you will, indulge me. I'm going to read verbatim here from Dan Murphy's piece on this, ESPN.com. The 20 to 22 million figure, and that's how much you can compensate player. That's something that's going to be the percentage. The 20 to 22 million figure that serves in effect as a salary cap will increase over time as the league's revenue grows. Experts cited in the court documents said they expect the cap number to grow to nearly $33 million per school by the end of the settlement's 10-year term. The NCAA and plaintiffs' attorneys said those payments, when combined with the tuition and other benefits that athletes already receive, will create a system where many schools are sharing close to half of the revenue they generate with athletes. That figure is comparable with revenue share agreements in professional sports. Steve Berman, co-lead counsel for the athletes, said reaching a near 50-50 revenue split was their intent during negotiations. And there's a quote here that said, that was what was in our heads. Yes. Now, I bring that up. I have zero problem with that notion. But like we've talked about, Elijah, this current figure is a cap in a 10-year period. So if everybody agrees and nobody challenges this, over the next decade, you can't challenge what might be seen as it's not an arbitrary cap. But remember, a cap in pro sports is collectively bargained. Mm-hmm. That's why there ain't one in baseball.
They're not going to agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, they'll never. If you said, hey, sure, $500 million, they'll go. Maybe the baseball players would agree to that. Anyway, I don't want to go down that path. That's going to get tricky, I think, if you have it in place. Now, maybe in that 10-year period, because things at the NCAA level often move glacially. But maybe in that 10-year period, you do get what you want from Congress. Maybe by then you do figure out some form of not necessarily a full-on labor union, but some form of representation where if a young man or young woman comes into college, they're signing on to the agreement about what that representative group is doing on their behalf. Not as ironclad perhaps as joining a union and belonging to a union, but this may be the trade-off. But I'm curious to see what this is going to look like, and if they want to get to 50-50 with tuition, books and fees, and all the other things that are out there, room and board. It is a lot of money, and that's why people have always said they get a lot for what they do. They do. They absolutely do. But for those of you who have maybe never heard me, and Elijah knows where I'm getting ready to go, I just remind people, and I use the line, of when Carolina and Arkansas joined the conference, because it's just an easy time when that's when things began to change. You added, the reason you did that was to add a conference championship game, which added a lot of revenue. Since then, 91, 92, inflation in the United States has gone up 100%, and revenue collected by the Southeastern Conference has gone up about 1,000%. And let me give you the example that I used. So back then, there were 12 schools that shared a collective $27 million in 1992 dollars. Today, that $27 million is around $60 million. So about $5 million per school for 12 schools. Today, 14 schools of the Southeastern Conference get more than $50 million each. So you see what I'm talking about there. And the players do generate that. Now, I have concerns like all of you do. Well, what does this do for Olympic sports? I don't know yet, and I hope nothing. And I think they have the money to do all of this. They had the money back then. They have the money now. A lot of things have also gone up a lot more than inflation, like coaching salaries. And I don't hear anybody ever saying we're going to cap that. Not saying they should.
Or that coaching salaries going up is going to be a danger to other sports.
Right. Look, all I'm saying is, does LSU really need to pay a defensive coordinator $2.5 million? Does Clemson need to pay their offensive coordinator more than $2 million? Now, they'll tell you yes, and that's fine. That's the market. But if it begins to hamper what the swim team, the golf team, the tennis team, the track team can do, how problematic is it for an athletics director? At some schools, they'll be like, well, football's all that matters. And I get it. So I'm just using Clemson and LSU as examples of places where there are $2 million coordinators. Where in 1999, when Lou Holtz got hired, he was a $1 million head coach, and he was one of only a few. And it's because he was Lou Holtz.
That's why, look, sometimes schools, you believe what they do, not exactly what they say. If they say they don't have money for something, yet they still are paying coordinators in football the amount that they do, it's not that they don't have the money to fund those certain sports. They don't care.
Yeah, they're not going to. Yeah, they're not going to use the money to do it. Right, right.
Exactly.
And again, that's your choice. I'm not here to say what's right or what's wrong. They'll
hide behind the guise of, we don't have enough money. I think your BS detector should start ticking a little bit when you hear that.
I'll give you the fact. And again, these are the facts. These numbers are facts. These are not opinions. It's not my opinion that there are 14 schools. This coming year, there will be 16 schools at the Southeastern Conference that will all receive checks in excess of $50 million. Probably more like 55 this next year, and then it goes over 60 when the new TV deal kicks in, plus the new deal with the CFP. And the SEC is going to do well in that. And again,
swimming in it.
I'm not. That's so. I hope, to use your point, swimming in it. I hope swimming and diving are fine. I hope track and field is fine. I hope all those Olympic sports are fine, plus tennis and golf and things like that. And I don't see a reason that they have to be cut. That's the threat they're trying to scare us with. But based on all of what we've got here in this filing, the money's going to be there.
They can do it.
Yeah. How do you find a way to make it continue to happen? All right, we'll update you on what's going on. Final few minutes, USA and Japan in the Olympics. And Patrick Mahomes has spoken about quarterback pay. Does he feel jilted? You'll find out when the postgame show returns.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start with an obstruction on the roadway. That'll be on I-77 northbound just before the Blythewood Road exit. Exit 27 is causing the right lane to be blocked completely. So a pretty big traffic jam there. We also have some accidents here in Richland County that are causing some issues, including one on I-126 westbound at Greystone Boulevard, one on 26 eastbound at Broad River Road near exit 97, and one on Highway 16 near US 76 and Divine Street, and one on Highway 1 at Augusta Road at North Grampian Hills Road.
Welcome back in. We were just talking about the settlement that has been filed now in federal court in California that ultimately will reshape how the business of college sports is done. Let me just give you one final little bit on this. There's still a pretty good ways to go here. And there are other details that I won't get into right now. But Judge Wilkin, who's been hearing all these cases, including going back to the Ed O'Bannon case that really, it may not have been the first one to get this thing rolling, but it's certainly the first one that became, a big-time case. Which, by the way, if I may, Elijah, I like to remind people that verdict was rendered by Judge Wilkin 10 years ago next month. And it's taking this long for the powers that be to go, oh, yeah, I guess we probably should. I know that's, but they could have done this a lot quicker. I don't want to.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I don't. Can't lament those things.
They're not known for their proactiveness.
But anyway, Judge Wilkin will review these over the course of the next several weeks. Then she can decide whether she wants to accept them. She could technically send it back for clarification. The settlement proposes that notice then be sent about the details on October 1. So that's the next major goal from both parties. And then there's a window for objection that would last 105 days. So January 14, 2025. This is if all goes according to plan. At that point, they will publish a website. The plaintiffs will. That will allow athletes to figure out how much they might get in the class action. After they've had a chance to review the terms, the plaintiffs, Judge Wilkin makes the final ruling on whether to accept that settlement, and that will come potentially later this year, like right at the end of the year, more likely sometime in the first quarter of next year. And then, if all goes according to the ideal plan, everything's good and squared away, and then in terms of the new model of doing business would go into effect next school year. So there still are some hurdles to clear, but I think they're short. They're not Olympic hurdles. They're like JV high school hurdles.
Practice hurdles.
Yeah.
Warm-up hurdles.
Yeah. Just those little ones. Like, oh, I can do that. I don't think there's any big ones. I don't know.
That no one's thought of yet.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
which is always possible.
It's not going to surprise me if somebody objects. And all it takes is one to potentially hold it up. So who knows? I mean, somebody might say, whoa, you're capping it? Or, whoa, I think I should, if I'm, maybe it's a former player. You're only going to give me $100,000? I want $300,000. I was famous. I was an All-American. I was a record holder. Yeah, who knows?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely going to vary on a case-by-case basis.
I mean, but why would any individual want to object relative to the collective? That's up to them. So we'll see. But anyway, there you go. But again, that was all filed late Friday afternoon, California time. So after we left the air here on the East Coast on Friday. All right, switching gears here at 22 minutes in front of 5 o'clock. Jay and Elijah with you. By the way, they're about to wind it down. 10 seconds to go. The United States leads Japan 100-76. And just like yesterday, now 102-76, you play to the whistle in this sport when it's international competition. So final score, United States 102, Japan 76, women's basketball. Game one is in the books.
Win streak moves to 56.
So we told you all last week that Tua Tagovailoa signed a new deal with the Miami Dolphins, and it made him the third highest paid quarterback on annual average not behind Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, but behind Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. By the way, why were so many people talking about Joe Burrow's hair? Who gives a...
He looks like the real Slim Shady.
Well, but, doesn't he play in a sport with a helmet? Who cares? Anyway, so Patrick Mahomes was asked how he felt about all these deals.
And Joe Burrow's haircut?
I don't know if he was asked about that.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
He probably doesn't like it. He probably doesn't care.
Patrick Mahomes, what's your thoughts on Eminem?
Now, have you seen any of this?
I have not. Okay. Patty's thoughts on the inflated quarterback market?
Yeah. Quote, "It's awesome for the game of football. It's awesome for the quarterback position. But I think all positions. I know every time a contract comes up, everybody looks at my average per year and everything like that. I'm doing pretty well myself," he said. "For me, it's just about going out there, trying to win football games, trying to make money for my family at the end of the day. I feel like I'm doing a great job of that."
You think?
He also said, "I think we do a great job managing my money to be able to pay me a lot of money and keep a good team around me. I know we've kind of restructured it a couple times and got the cash flow up in certain spots in certain years. It's about having a good dialogue, good communication with the front office, with ownership. We've done that here, and as we've been able to allow me to be a highly paid guy while at the same time build a great team around me." He did restructure his deal. It's going to ultimately pay him like $52 million per season, but they'll stretch it out as necessary. I wouldn't have expected anything else. You and I were joking the other day when we were talking about Tua that the Hunt family just needs to give him like 2% ownership and go, "Thank you for making us relevant again,
For turning us into a powerhouse."
I know it's not all him, but quarterbacks being what they are in today's society, not just sporting society, but in general.
I'd say he's the best quarterback in the NFL post-Brady Manning era.
Yes.
In terms of the new wave of NFL quarterbacks, he is by far and away
He's the best quarterback.
the best one.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Yeah, he's the best quarterback in football. Yeah, I don't know. There's a nice challenge at 2, and I'm not sure who it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really not. It's not Aaron anymore.
Hadn't been Aaron for like 5 years.
Stafford's got a title. Burrow's been to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say Trevor Lawrence is overpaid because you got to pay a guy, but he needs to go start doing some real winning, and not in November and December, but in January. Goff is pretty well paid these days. He's good.
Revived his career.
He's good.
Lamar Jackson's won 2 MVPs.
Lamar has 2 MVPs. Lamar could probably grumble a little bit, but he's doing okay.
He's doing fine. And they've put a really good team around him.
They have. He needs to stay healthy. He needs a running back.
His running backs don't even stay healthy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That'd be nice.
That's a cursed position. If you're wishing injury upon somebody, give them a Atlanta Braves jersey or make him a Baltimore Ravens running back, and it's guaranteed, buddy.
Why do you want to do that to me, man?
Because it's true.
Yeah, but I don't want you to do it. Just because it's true doesn't mean it's nice.
That's a very good lesson in life to learn.
Anyway, who else? Purdy's playing well. He's probably making like I don't know.
He's making like $20,
slightly more than
an hour
minimum wage. What are they paying Purdy?
Does Brock Purdy make more than us?
I hope so.
I hope so, for his sake.
It's just not even close. Is my point. I mean, Hurts is good, and
Hurts is really good. Herbert's really good.
Yeah.
I think Herbert with Harbaugh there now
I'm excited
is going
for that.
to be a really good pairing.
I say I'm excited for that in the sense that I like Jim Harbaugh a lot. I will also bring out my fandom and tell you that I am frightened of that because that's the AFC West, and I'm a virtually lifelong Denver Bronco fan. I don't know that Coach Payton and my boy Bo are going to really go get it done.
Dennis Quaid, rookie type with Bo Nix.
I don't know.
Just kidding. He's not that old. But
no, but he is like
he's
20.
old.
I think he is like 25, right?
Bo Nix's first college game. Do you remember who he quarterbacked against?
No.
You guessed it, Justin Herbert.
Oh, wow. Was that?
Bo Nix's freshman year at Auburn. Their first game was in Jerry World.
In Atlanta game? Oh, okay, Dallas?
Yep, it was in Dallas. Auburn versus Oregon. Bo Nix versus Justin Herbert. Bo Nix got drafted a few months ago. Justin Herbert is on contract number 2.
I was going to say, he's gotten his new deal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But I'm glad Mahomes
Let
said
that one sink in a little bit.
I mean, not that Mahomes was ever going to go, I can't believe it. He'll be fine.
I think he nailed it. He's doing pretty good for himself.
He's got 3 rings, too. That's what these other guys got to go do, start winning some rings. 803-404-6100. We'll update you on the poll question. Best moments in Gamecock sports history this century. Who's out front on day one? We'll tell you right after this. 11 minutes in front of 5 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you, 803-404-6100. Greatest moments in Gamecocks history since 2000. Poll number 1 that Elijah has put out there. And, again, the committee working hard through the weekend. I'll let him pull up some temporary results. You have until around midnight to vote on this. And, phone the neighbors, wake the kids.
That's right. You have 8 hours left.
Get as many people to vote as possible. Although I just kind of looking at it now, sir, I don't see a way back in for any of the other three.
It would take a pretty coordinated effort to get pretty coordinated effort to get my boy Devin Downey to pull off the upset. His 30-point game against number 1 Kentucky, only at 1.8%. And selfishly, I was one of them. Big fan of that moment. But the first College World Series title, the Whit Merrifield hit in 2010 at 72.1% of the 384 votes so far. We have a tie for second, and that is with the 2 College World Series wins against Clemson, that same championship run, and the men's basketball upset of Duke in the 2017 NCAA tournament. Both those, again, at 13%.
And Devin, just under 2.
Just under 2. A very nice comment though from Kerry Rich about about his thoughts on Devin Downey, because I did in the tweet with the video vignette kind of talk about where were you when he dropped 30 on this Kentucky team, and he quote tweeted and said, "Double D's body of work at USC somehow gets lost, but he was an incredible player. Whether some admit it or not, former players are the hardest to impress. With that being said, he kept me on the edge of my seat watching him impact the game on both ends. #respect, #Devin Downey."
He was great, and it hurt a lot of people around here when he didn't initially choose South Carolina. I get it, but Cincinnati's program was better. What Bob Huggins was doing, I mean, it's just
underrated program in the history. of the sport.
Yeah. Going back again, we were talking about listen. Carolina beat them twice. It was a home and home that Huggy and Eddie had put together, and Carolina won both those games
against a really good Cincinnati team.
Yeah, those were some good basketball teams. Which makes me, by the way, if you want to talk about lamentations, Carolina was getting really good under Eddie Fogler.
I mean,
and the one bad year, and again, rest in peace. But Mike McGee was like, "We can't have it." I was like, "Come on, man."
That's a bummer. Eddie Fogler was a really good coach at multiple different places. That guy had had quite the extensive background.
Wichita. Well, I mean, obviously, long time dean assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Was very good at Wichita. Was very good at Vanderbilt, and was very good at South Carolina. But you're not gonna get. It's weird because fans, not just at Carolina, but at a lot of places like Carolina, in my opinion, can really quickly allow that taste of success to fool you into a false sense of status. And in my lifetime, I have seen that happen at South Carolina on many occasions, but rarely do I see it from an administrator or an administration. And in the case of Mike McGee with Eddie Fogler in men's basketball in the late 90s, I saw it more from the AD than I did from the fans. I think the fans had a pretty good understanding that you can't do that. Look, you're not going to get a 2 seed and a 3 seed all the time at South Carolina. You're not going to be in that tournament every year. And Eddie told Mike that, and Mike was like, "Well, you mean you've done it now?" And because the '96 team was one of those teams, they should have been. They made the NIT. And I can still see that play where Melvin dribbled the ball off his foot, and they didn't make it to the Garden in '96. But they really began to. You could tell at the end of the '96 season, like, this team's going to be good. We didn't know it was going to go 15-1 in the SEC the next year.
Win a regular season title.
And win on senior day at Rupp, and just have a B.J. Mackey. Just again, I think something like B.J. hit more free throws than Kentucky took, or something like that. It was crazy how well
awesome.
Carolina played. You could go back and find the box score, but it's something crazy like that, right? But they got into it, and ultimately that just, and I'm giving you the nutshell version, but that drove Eddie out, and that's too bad. But coming back around to how we got there with Devin, ultimately choosing Cincinnati, and then it didn't work out. Came back and had had a good run. I wish there were more good players, as I like to say, around him then, because he was a special
He was
college
awesome.
basketball talent, man.
He was fantastic.
He really was. And he was a good team player. I think people think he was just an individual guy. It's like, well, when you're the only one who can do it,
sometimes you got to put the team on your back a little bit.
You got to go do it. I mean, that's just the way it was. Headlines of the day. More on to today's fun poll question coming up.
Devin Downey was the ultimate team player, and here at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, my friends Paul Grant and Shaylin are not just great coaches, but team players themselves. And a lot of that has to do with helping people like myself achieve their weight loss goals. Everybody's different. Everybody's schedule's different. Everybody's lives are really different. Eating patterns are different. So certain boxed up weight loss plans don't maybe necessarily work for all. There's no one-size-fits-all option, which is where the coaching for Columbia Secret for Weight Loss comes into play in a very big way. They get to know you. They get to go one-on-one, be able to do some certain things and schedule some certain things and help you get on track to reach your weight loss goal the same way I did. And if you're interested in learning the secret of losing up to 1 pound of unhealthy fat per day, beyond just the great coaching, you can start your own success story by giving him a call, 803-824-4210. Again, 803-824-4210, ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Results may vary. From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to, they're causing some issues on the roadways here this afternoon. We'll go ahead and start with an obstruction on the roadway on I-77 northbound before the Blythewood Road exit 27. It's causing the right lane to be blocked, so traffic moving pretty slowly through there. We also have a pair of accidents on Highway 1 at Augusta Road, one near Laurel Road, one near Calks Ferry Road. And we actually have one more just now reported over near Augusta Road as well at North Grampian Hills Road. I-20 westbound has two accidents, one at Humphreys Road near exit 101, one at US 1 near exit 58. And then on I-126 westbound, we have an accident at Greystone Boulevard causing some minor traffic delay.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Monday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the postgame show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. We will start with the Olympics. A lot of news to get to from across the pond in Paris, as Colombia's own Asia Wilson had a big day today for the United States as they opened up women's basketball play in Group C with a 102-76 victory over Japan. Asia today, let me get to the box score for you if my computer will now allow me. Asia, 10 of 16 from the floor, 4 of 6 from the free throw line, 13 rebounds, and a nice split too, Elijah. 7 defensive, 6 offensive, 4 assists, 4 blocks. She did have 4 turnovers too, but that's okay. 24 points for Asia Wilson. Brianna Stewart added 22 for the United States, and 3 players with double figures off the bench. Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, and Brittany Griner had 11 points as well. Again, United States beats Japan 102-76. Yesterday, the American men beat Serbia 110-84, and Jason Tatum did not play. That had NBA fans, especially fans of the champion Boston Celtics. Oh, Steve Kerr hates Boston. Steve Kerr hates Jason Tatum. Steve Kerr sucks. It's like, pipe down there, sport. It's all good. Jason will play Wednesday, Steve Kerr said. I'm not going to answer your next question, which is if he plays, who doesn't? But we're going to need him. And part of this job for me is to keep everybody engaged and ready, because my experience with this is crazy stuff happens. Steve Kerr went on to explain that the staff had studied the matchups against Serbia. They looked at different lineup combinations, and they felt that Tatum in this particular instance was a guy who just wouldn't factor in very much. So he didn't play. FIBA is like college basketball. It's 40 minutes. Now, they play quarters, so the women are used to it. By the way, can I do this real fast here?
Yes, absolutely.
When's men's college basketball going to quarters? Why do we keep doing it with halves?
Quarters just flow so much better.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, look, I know, again, just like a lot of things in college sports, but it's tradition.
It was tradition for the women, too. They had no problem making it 4 quarters.
It's time to go to quarters.
They also, women's college basketball also still has one of my favorite rules that I think the men's college game needs to adopt, and that's the advancement of the ball to half court after a timeout.
Yeah.
Ball timeout.
That
rules, man.
I know you love it because you're a big NBA guy, too. I'm not as big a fan of that. I almost feel like it's not cheating because they let you.
It's part of the rules, yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, you didn't do anything to get the ball moved up to half court.
You wasted a timeout.
Yeah.
Those aren't infinite.
No.
You only get a handful. Coaches love calling timeouts.
If it happens, it happens. But if I had to choose between the two, I would rather them go to quarters in men's college basketball than the advancement rule. But if they do both, that's fine. But I don't like. It's time to go, because really. And look, I'm in a business where we make our money off of commercial sales. I get it. But the fact is, there can be college basketball games that aren't televised that still have every under 4 timeout called, because it's just now part of the format of the sport, which is I just don't like. But anyway. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. I just thought I'd say that real quick here.
That's good though. No, let's beat that drum. I'm all for it. The flow of the game is so much better.
Yeah, South Sudan will be next for the United States. Jason Tatum did play in all 5 of America's exhibition games. 16 minutes last week in London, I think, was the most that he played. So the South Sudan team is going to be a little bit more of a speed matchup, Steve Kerr says. Who doesn't play? Some people are saying Devin Booker will maybe see fewer minutes.
You might see more minutes for Tyrese Halliburton, who also had a DNP.
Yeah. And that surprised me a little bit. I kind of thought Halliburton actually would start, or at least see significant, like almost be the 6th man.
I did too. But it was more defensive lineup because Derek White and Drew Holiday both got significant minutes and played really, really well. Against a team like Serbia that moves so well without the ball, Derek White and Drew Holiday combos, which those guys were on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
For a lot of those minutes.
Holiday played well. I was pleasantly surprised, but
He's been one of the best defenders in basketball for
the biggest thing
5 years
yesterday was, again, and I'm really not kidding, LeBron was playing like 25-year-old LeBron. KD was playing like 25-year-old KD. Steph was playing like a guy who was under 30. I mean, they all three, for dudes that are older now and have been all beat up. I mean, heck, man, does LeBron turn 40 this year? Is that right?
I think so. LaForty.
KD, by the way, was cleared to play less than an hour before the game. Came in and made his first 8 shots. And, I mean, smooth. George Gervin, man, ice. Just came right in and just knocked him down. It was fun to watch. Serbia's good, too.
They are very good.
And, Jokic is some people think he's currently the best player in the NBA. And with 3 MVPs and a title, it's
hard to argue.
A nice argument to have.
And if you missed it in the first hour, I dropped the stat of when Nikola Jokic was on the floor yesterday. The score was 81-81.
Yeah. When
he was on the bench, USA outscored Serbia 29-3. I think he makes a pretty big difference on almost any team he plays because there are some games with the Denver Nuggets during the NBA season where those splits are eerily similar.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a one-man offense.
I mean, look, America is expected to win this gold medal just like the women are, but it's still a fun it was fun to see. And remember, this is Steph's first Olympics. It's not LeBron's. This is like LeBron's, what, 4th, 5th? LeBron was having a good time, and I think that's crucial. Not to say he'd be bored or something, but as LeBron's going to go, this team is going to go. He's still LeBron, period.
Yeah.
End of story. He may no longer be the best player in the NBA. He may not. You might say there's some other dudes now on the American team even that might be, quote, unquote, better than LeBron. It's fun to have those debates at the bar, in the barbershop, at the water cooler, whatever. But as LeBron goes, America will go. And LeBron was having a lot of fun yesterday.
When he plays like that, then no one's touching him.
Yeah. And it was fun to see.
He tapped into something that was vintage.
And it was all LeBron, both ends, scoring, passing, facilitating,
getting to the rim at will.
Yeah, I mean, I
almost had a triple-double, man.
Like, almost. And that was one of the things that Noah and D Wade were talking about, and they had to go back. The last American to have a triple-double was LeBron, in like the London Olympics.
That team was also
and the reason you don't see triple-doubles in the Olympics is because you got a bench that you play. So dudes just aren't going to really have the opportunity. Plus, you got 8 fewer minutes to get it done in.
Yep, shorter games.
So
an Olympic triple-double is quite the accomplishment.
No, it was fun to watch. Good stuff. We're continuing our integrated media headlines of the day. We have a massive trade to announce, but unfortunately the Braves are not part of it. But the White Sox, Cardinals, and Dodgers have reached a 3-team, 8-player trade. St. Louis will get starting pitcher Eric Fetty and outfielder Tommy Pham. Pretty good ball players. L.A. gets Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech. And the 3 former Dodger infield prospects, Miguel Vargas, Alexander Albertus, and Gerald Perez, will head to Chicago as they attempt to become good by 2028.
That's lofty.
That's not in the report, but
it's not because that's probably too lofty of a goal.
The Dodgers will also get a 17-year-old right-hander named Oliver Gonzalez from the Cardinals, while the Cardinals will get cash from the White Sox, and either cash or a player to be named later from the Dodgers. How much cash to the White Sox?
And where's it going? Where's the money going? Not to players. They're terrible.
The White Sox, for those of you who don't know, the Chicago White Sox are currently 27-81. And I told Elijah earlier today, I saw a tweet that said if you took away, it's a big if, but if you took away the White Sox 2 14-game losing streaks this season,
which account for 28 of their losses,
they would still, by percentage, have the 3rd worst record in baseball. Still.
That's remarkable.
That's just sad.
That's like, that's a Barry Bondzian type stat, but like in the wrong direction.
Well, at this point, I mean, listen, 81. So, here's the good news. Here's the good news, White Sox fans. You still have a chance to finish 500.
If you win the rest of your games.
All you have to do is win all of your games.
Well, the only good news for White Sox fans is that we all have to die one day, and no one's going to care about this whenever you're gone. That's the only good news. That's it. There is no good news.
The Central is very good this season. The AL Central.
Minus the White Sox.
Yes. And Detroit's just 3 games under. Detroit is 12 back of Cleveland. The White Sox are 37 and a half games back of Cleveland. The White Sox are 25 and a half games back of Detroit.
Which is a remarkable statement.
Yikes.
And Detroit was the punching bag of that division for a couple of years.
This is terrible. But there you go. The trade deadline is tomorrow night at 6. So right around the time we leave the air tomorrow. And again, now I will interject a little Braves fandom as of yet. And I was just looking. The Braves have not made any major moves. There was talk that the Braves were interested in Garrett Crochet of the White Sox, who is a very good pitcher.
All-star.
It's weird. They have 2 dudes that contenders want. It's like maybe they don't have bats. And I don't mean like, that in a figurative sense. I mean that literally. Like maybe they don't have bats.
They just don't bring them. The only games they've won are when other pitchers walk.
They just have dudes stand at the plate and just see what happens.
Give them a sword like in the bench warmers. Howie.
Broomsticks? I don't know. Maybe they don't have gloves. Do they put like 6 guys on the team?
All that money, they're still not buying a roster.
Gee whiz.
Is it also another wild thing about this trade deadline? An alarming number of trades involving the Tampa Bay Rays. And shouldn't have Major League Baseball learned a long time ago, don't do business with those guys?
Yeah.
They always know more than you do. Somehow.
They do.
And there has been an alarming amount of teams willing to do business with Tampa Bay.
Well,
they're one of those, like, it's like that buddy in fantasy sports, that you're in the league with, and they call you with a trade. And you're like, oh, this sounds great. It never works out. They swindle you every time. Don't take that call. So if you're the Atlanta Braves and the Tampa Bay Rays come calling, don't take that call. Don't do it. And there are teams falling into that trap.
Hopefully Alex will have learned that. But at this point in time, the Braves have not yet made a move. So Alex has less than 25 hours to make that happen. Finally, Houston Texans defensive end Danico Autry has been suspended 6 games for a violation of the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. He's 34. He said in a statement the violation was because his doctors submitted a prescription for a different medication that contained a banned substance. Over the course of my 10-year NFL career, he said, I have never engaged in the use of performance-enhancing drugs. Over that period, I have been subject to countless tests, none of which have ever returned a positive result. I was therefore stunned this offseason when I learned that one of my tests returned a positive result. He says that they have done an investigation, and he discovered, quote, a pharmacy to which my doctors submitted a prescription for a different medication had, whether intentionally, recklessly, or negligently, included a banned substance. Upon discovering the source of the positive test, I immediately retained legal counsel. My counsel provided the NFL with information, including documentation from my doctors, establishing that I neither asked for nor was prescribed any banned substance. It was important to me that the NFL know that I did not intentionally or even knowingly ingest a banned substance. He has apologized and says he will accept the punishment as is. That's kind of rough if all that's true.
Yeah.
6 games.
That would be.
And it's 6 games without pay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money in the NFL.
Which, I mean, I always take those statements with a grain of salt because if you know what's on the line in your career,
it's one thing when some dude tells you that, like, the Dominican pharmacy did it. And I'm like, well, that's why you're supposed to check with your guy first. You don't call the Dominican pharmacy.
Yeah.
But in this case, he's got his doctors backing him up. Like, we didn't do that. So take it as you will. That's our integrated media headlines of the day, and I'll tell you more about them. And we'll get into, if you haven't yet heard, our fun poll question of the day and the week when the postgame show returns. For a lot of us this weekend here in the Midlands, there's going to be a little tailgate practice. Got a big professional soccer match coming in. But what it really means is that the football season is right around the corner, and there is no one better at getting your home theater taken to the next level, or maybe next levels, than our good friends at Integrated Media. With just one call, Integrated Media installs the latest in 4K technology from Samsung, Sony, Dolby, to make sure that you not only have that visual experience, but the audio experience to go along with it. Maybe you say, I love what I have inside. I want to go next level outdoors. You can. Integrated Media installs outdoor home theaters built around the Samsung Terrace TV and Sonos outdoor speakers that are built to be outside all year. Trust me, they look and sound just like the stuff on the inside. You need to get ready for the season now. 803-948-8327. Feel like you are there with Integrated Media. Twenty minutes after 5 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Do want to remind you the Ultimate Season Ticket Giveaway is back. You can log on to 1075thegame.com. Look for the Ultimate Season Ticket Giveaway graphic. Find a way to enter. You could win tickets to every Carolina football game, baseball game, men's and women's basketball games, all brought to you by Dr. Dan Balknight and the Men's Clinic. Keep listening for more details. But again, want to learn more right now? Go to 1075thegame.com for the ultimate season ticket giveaway. All right, so speaking of places to go on the interwebs, you can go to our Twitter page, or X. 1075 The Game is the handle. And there you will be able to vote on what we think is a very cool event, the top Gamecock athletic moments of the century.
Mm-hmm.
We're a quarter of the way through it, basically, if you do the math right. And Elijah Campbell has orchestrated a pretty cool thing. He's done a lot of hard work behind the scenes, y'all. He's working for at least like 20 minutes on this.
Maybe. I mean,
seriously.
After 15, I lose focus pretty easily.
Seriously, he was working tirelessly and relentlessly for a long time last week, and sometimes dealing with computers that are as old as he is.
Yeah, I learned exactly. Sometimes I think I have days where I'm like, man, I'm glad my patience is at a lot better place now than it was when I was a teenager and in my early 20s.
In your youth.
And then like today, like days like today, when I'm just trying to export a simple file and the thing crashes out and the beginning of the video glitches and I get really close to wanting to throw a computer out of a window.
Well, see, if you had...
I learned where my rage still lies, right? Like, it's still there. It never left my body. I've just managed it in a healthier way.
I'll vouch for you to go ahead and throw them out the window.
I want to office space these bad boys sometimes.
You should do it. But let's get to it because we're going to talk about these two. So
that's right.
Here's what you do. You got it from here.
That's right. And we have the video vignettes. So if you're like, oh wow, man, I vaguely remember beating Clemson twice in 2010 in Omaha. You know, like maybe I should just go back and watch. We got highlights for you too. We have some highlights on our Twitter feed for each one that we put in these polls. We will do a little video vignette of it, so you can refresh the memory a little bit, get to relive some of these fun moments in Gamecock sports history. But for today, our first four that we have in this first poll, again, we'll be running 4 separate polls of 4. Twitter will not let you have more than 4 in them, because I've had a couple people on the text line, the Firehouse subtext line, say, well, why isn't the 30-0 women or women's basketball season or 38-0 women's basketball season in there?
Fret not.
It's just not in there today, right? So the ones in there today, the first College World Series baseball title in 2010, the Whit Merrifield hit against UCLA, the 2 College World Series wins against Clemson to get to the title series, the Devin Downey game against Kentucky in 2010, a lot of 2010 here in this poll. This is we'll call this the 2010 group, where they beat Kentucky and number 1 Kentucky, previously undefeated Kentucky. And then the men's basketball upset of Duke, not in 2010, but in 2017 to get to the first Sweet 16 in program history and beat Duke star, now future NBA champion, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, this is fun. So right now, the 2010 title is out front at 72.5%. Tight race with that Duke upset and the wins over Clemson. The Duke upset at 13% even, 12.7%. For the back-to-backs against Clemson leading into that UCLA series, and Devin's big performance, unfortunately, not that it wasn't fantastic, getting just 1.8% of the vote.
Tough competition there.
Yeah, so, by all means, make sure to continue checking it out, and you got until midnight-ish, right?
Yep, around midnight tonight when that bad boy wraps up, and then we'll have our 4 tomorrow. So the videos for those will come out tonight as well. But a fun day to remember some dudes. I'm not going to lie. I'll be transparent here. I gave Devin Downey my vote just so I can give him some love because, man, it's tough going against national championships and wins against Clemson.
It is.
It is very hard to go against that.
Yeah.
So I gave my boy Devin Downey some votes.
Yeah, that's fine. Should I say who I voted for?
Sure.
I voted for the Clemson back-to-backs.
Okay. See, I was always curious how much that would get because winning the championship is awesome. But doing so, like the journey to get there and having part of that be beating your arch rival twice with your back against the wall and keeping them from winning one has to have like a certain level of like pettiness and deliciousness to it that probably ages like a fine wine over the decades.
like you said, and we can sit here and as sports fans, we can think of individual moments. We can think of the collective. We can kind of try to find a way to be somewhere in between, with a couple of things here or there. And I made mention to you, you mentioned getting there. Before you can win, you got to get there. That's why I said, one of the ones that didn't quite make the cut, because, again, you can only choose 16, is Christian Walker's home run in Myrtle Beach, which I'm telling you, man, for a moment, for a singular moment in time, is one of the more special things I've been witness to in person. Because, A, he crushed that baseball. And, B, Coastal was really good. C, I think it was about 200 degrees in Myrtle Beach that day, because you don't feel the ocean breeze more than about a quarter of a mile from the ocean. It might not have been 200, but it was really close.
Roughly. You can round up.
And you didn't want a game 3. You didn't want a game 3.
Nope.
Matt Price had shut him down like Matt Price did in game 1, and you were losing, because, again, that Coastal team, and I remember being down on the field after the game thinking to myself, man, some of these dudes, they were just like giants. I mean, Coastal had some dudes. But you needed, you just don't want, when you are the team that's up 1-0 in a best of 3, you want to, obviously you want to win game 2, but who knows what a game 3 might have looked like, who knows? I'm not saying Carolina couldn't win it, but that moment, and it didn't end the game. It didn't end the game, but it certainly at that point, it took virtually all the wind out of the Coastal Carolina sails. But anyway, that's not one of what, because, again, these are some great ones. But to beat Clemson, it had to beat Clemson twice also. And you couldn't lose to Clemson. Literally.
No.
You couldn't.
Margin for error.
Yeah, 0. Right. You had to beat Clemson twice. That's when Roth, again, that's when that wait, that kid that plays a little first is going to pitch? Like, this is how desperate they are?
The Rothissance.
And then 2 years later, he's on like a mega billboard thing in Omaha as one of the great heroes in College World Series history. Yeah, and sometimes it's the beauty of sport, right?
Mm-hmm. The unexpected hero. See, there's there's so many elements to that.
And like I was saying too, I know I've said it a bunch for those that have heard me, but if you haven't, the upset of Duke in 17. I've seen a lot of Gamecock sports in my life, and that's the best 20 minutes of basketball. That second half, that's the best 20 minutes of basketball I've ever seen South Carolina play. The follow-up, or the runner-up, excuse me, is, again, 1998 against Cincinnati here in Columbia. That would have been my first. If you had said, what's the best half of basketball you've ever seen before that Duke game, I'd have said the A. Grant game against Cincinnati. And now it's the Duke game. Because what is 60 points, whatever?
Yeah, 60 points second half. We were trailing by 7 at half. You were trailed by double digits in the first half. And Duke was on fire in that first half. And that's a Duke team that was fresh off an ACC tournament championship run. And that, I thought, was underseeded. I remember really banging the drum that year that Duke should have been a 1. And you came out and locked them down and put them away in probably one of the most emphatic fashions I've ever seen a 7 seed put away a 2 with just a slew of forced turnovers and flush dunks on the other end.
Well, it's like I said, and I'm kidding for you Duke folk, but like Duke went, wait, there's a South Carolina?
This is news to us.
All right, well, we'll see what we can do. We'll have more on this for you, updated results, and a drive around the SEC as the postgame show continues.
There's a New Mexico?
New Mexico?
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways. And we'll start with an incident that's been cleared. So we'll go good news first. And that's that the accident on I-77 northbound before Blythewood Road exit 27 has been cleared. So traffic moving a lot more smoothly through that area. Got 3 accidents on Highway 1 and Augusta Road to get to. One on Laurel Road, one on North Grampian Hills Road, and one on Brickyard Road. So Highway 1 and Augusta Road, a few accidents causing things to move really slowly. And in Chapin, an accident on Sid Bickley Road at Old Bush River Road is causing some backup.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. We'll start with a couple of things around Gamecock football, just a couple of preseason things here. First off, we had some fun talking about the long snapper vote at SEC Media Days, but, you know, there are those who take that seriously, and Hunter Rogers has been named to I did not know they had a watch list for this, but the Patrick Manley Award, named after the former NFL standout Patrick Manley, goes to the player that is the best long snapper in college football. There are just 30 players on that list. It's the 6th annual award this year. So congratulations to Hunter Rogers. He played at Spring Valley. He has been all SEC in each of the last 2 seasons at his position. So that clearly means he's one of the best in the country and may well be the guy that gets the Patrick Manley Award. I think he finished second he's on the second team as a long snapper at SEC Media Days. And also, Rocket Sanders has been named to the Maxwell Award watch list. That is the 88th one of those that will be awarded this year. It's presented annually to the outstanding player in college football. So while not as prestigious, I suppose, and as well known as the Heisman Trophy, it is certainly one that a lot of people are very interested in. Rocket 6'0", 230, although maybe he's a little lighter now. I'm not sure exactly where he is right now. In his first season with Carolina after 3 years at Arkansas, of course, he was first team all-conference in 2022 with 1,443 yards and 10 touchdowns. So both those guys on watch lists for the coming season. Continuing to drive around the SEC, I don't know how big a deal this is other than these two schools hate each other. But it's only July, so you still got to hold on to them. But Hugh Freeze and Auburn continue what ESPN recruiting analyst Eli Letterman says is a hot recruiting run. I'll take his word for it.
It is July. It is very hot. Any type of recruiting run is going to be really warm, but at the least.
The Tigers have flipped 4-star athlete Derek Smith, who is the number 38 player in the ESPN 300. He's been committed to Bama for some time. Let's see. It says he plays at Southside High School in Alabama. Well, that doesn't help me, man. I've been to Alabama. I need a little more help than just Southside High School in Alabama. Does that mean it's in Mobile?
Can we get a little specific?
Yeah. South side of what, bro?
It's the south side.
Yeah. See,
just south of the north side.
I feel like vacation. I'm from the south side of Chicago. Here on vacation. But it follows his visit for the annual Big Cat Weekend. Not to be confused with the guy at Barstool.
Or the Kit Kat Weekend, which I find myself having a lot of at my apartment.
Smith is
Those are great candy bars, man.
Kit Kats are good.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're not my favorite, but they're not. It's not like I don't like. I mean, I like a Kit Kat just fine.
It's top 5 for me in terms of just candies, chocolate candies.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Cracks that list. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, I don't know if it's top 5. But again, it doesn't mean it's bad. I don't know if it's top 5.
It's just not elite to you.
I like Take 5.
Ooh, I'm not a big fan.
I
of
like the
those.
pretzel. I like the savory in there. And, original Reese's Cup, man.
The original Reese's Cup might be number 1.
I tell you what I like, too, is Payday. You like Payday?
Oh, God, no.
No? I like Payday.
Oh.
Do they still make whatchamacallit?
Well, they do. That doesn't circulate everywhere. It's not widely popular, but whatchamacallits do still exist. I still have seen those from time to time.
My go-to, like, high school midday thing, we had a little, like, canteen you could go to, at school.
Uh-huh.
A pint of Quick and whatchamacallit, because that's everything a growing boy needs. I probably did that like 3 days a week for 2 or 3 years in high school, and still got out of high school at like $1.45.
Well, that's because, yeah.
But I did run a lot and play sports, so I guess I had to.
That helps.
It
yeah.
helped. It helped.
Yeah. That was, I lived the same. Yeah. Same existence. I couldn't put on weight no matter how hard I tried. I tried.
Yeah, I tried a little bit. Maybe that's why I ate whatchamacallits and drank a lot of Quick.
My high school basketball coach told me to eat 2 peanut butter sandwiches before bed every night so I could put on some weight because I was at 6'4" and 140 pounds. Rail thin, buddy. Rail thin.
By the way, I don't know what Derek Smith is going to play. He is a two-way player at the aforementioned Southside High School somewhere in Alabama, and is a safety and a wide receiver. And Hugh Freeze doesn't know what he'll do at Auburn yet. They just need to hold on to him.
They just want to bring him to campus.
I want to go to whatever Big Cat weekend is. Like, do they have big cats there? Do they bring a tiger out? Other large cats?
And when you say big cat, is it like just like someone's pet cat that's just like really large, or is it? Or they got the tiger there?
Well, they got tigers. I mean, but Auburn's, to my knowledge, not had a tiger in the length of time that like LSU has. I know Mike,
like a live tiger.
Yeah, Mike. I know Mike got sick and died like last year,
Rest
2
in
years
peace.
ago. Yeah, R.I.P. Mike. So I don't know if they bring. That'd be kind of cool though. A panther, a tiger, a leopard, perhaps. I think
get creative.
I think puma,
Possibilities are endless.
like, isn't a puma? That's basically a panther. That's just another name for like a panther, right? It's not its own cat. I think a puma, a cougar.
Not as well versed.
I'll be careful with the use of the word cougar at Big Cat Weekend.
Yeah, you you should be careful with the use of cougar at Big Cat Weekend. That's the type of cat that'd be at Big Cat Weekend at Broadway in Nashville.
Sure.
Specifically at Tootsie's.
I didn't go. I heard of it. Didn't go.
Don't ask me how I know these things.
I won't.
Thank you.
What happens in Nashville stays in Nashville. It seems like that's like a number 2 thing for that now, like Vegas.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's slowly.
I don't want to know what happens at these bachelorette parties. And if I were the potential groom, I probably wouldn't want to know either. Right?
Just make sure they don't end up on Nashville Scoop, which is where all the arrests end up on Twitter. Fun. If you just need a laugh, man. You ever just need a laugh.
Yeah.
Sometimes the not so serious stuff is pretty funny, of the debauchery that people get into.
The not so serious.
Yes.
Do they put the serious on there as well?
They do.
What are we talking about there?
There's some gnarly stuff.
Oh, I don't need to know that.
Yeah. Some of it might be a little too personal, but
no. I don't want that.
Yeah. But somebody getting like way too wasted and streaking over at Kid Rocks, like that type of stuff gets on there.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. They're police reports. Just a collection of police reports.
I mean, I feel like Michael Haney probably does that like twice a week.
And he's evaded Scoop Nashville, which is really impressive. They catch everything, man.
For those of you who remember my very good friend and longtime co-host, Michael Haney, who, again, we did well over 2,000 shows together. We still talk on a very regular basis, and we often say, in jest, brotherly love type stuff, vile things to each other. And on the way out to the golf tournament on Thursday, I called Michael, and he said, "Hi, you're on speaker with me and my parents." To which I said, "Oh, hi, Michael. It's nice to speak with you. And tell your parents this is exactly what I had in mind when I was going to."
Whenever you answered the phone.
Because here's the thing. I had something ready to go.
And you had to.
I didn't get to use it.
Crumple that up.
Yeah, it's too bad.
It's unfortunate.
That's too bad. But we'll talk to him this weekend ahead of Nashville Nights. Only a few left.
And I'm sure he's got some fun Gamecock memories he would like to share.
So anyway, Auburn does well at
Century.
Big Cat
21st.
Weekend. So Hugh Freeze is very excited. All right, we'll come back with poll results for you. That's the drive around the SEC brought to you by Herndon Chevy, and I'm glad I didn't get myself in trouble with any further usage of big cats.
That's right. You got, way to toe the line.
Thank you.
Getting good at those.
And it's just Monday. That's pretty good. Usually this is where I screw it up after a long weekend.
We might be jobless by Friday.
Well, here's hoping. What did I say? Oh,
Postgame show coming up next.
Poll results on the postgame show. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the postgame show on this Monday. Jay and Elijah with you. Again, having fun throughout the afternoon talking about the first of 4 big-time poll questions that we'll have for you this week on Twitter, but talking about them on air as well as we get you to choose the best moments in Carolina athletics this century. You got 4 choices today. We'll recap in just a second. We got 4 more tomorrow, and I'll get Elijah to give you a preview. Then we'll have 4 on Wednesday and Thursday. Each winner goes into a vote for next week, and then we crown a champion. And they get tickets to the movie of their choice and like a station T-shirt.
That's right. I'll make them the best grilled cheese sandwich they've ever had.
I do like grilled cheese.
Yeah, I do too.
Fine sandwich. Rocky wants to weigh in with a couple of things on this. Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, Jay, and talking to Elijah before I got on, he didn't have this on his list, and and by the way, I was at the Cincinnati game and the Grant shot as well. So
you know, like I do, the roof did like 3 inches. It did come off of the building when that shot went.
Geez, Jay, I couldn't hear. Well, I walked outside when it was over, and I still could hear.
Ringing. It was seriously, man. Seriously. I nothing like it that I've ever experienced. You know, I'm not saying it's the best. You know, there's a lot of greats,
but
nothing like that ever.
Here's what I got, and I talked to Elijah. He said he didn't have it. I'm talking about the comeback against Miami at the Sarge. And
the Miami Miracle, yes.
You talk about hot, and Elijah probably wasn't around, but at the Sarge, down the third base line that day, back behind the stands and the bleachers, they had hose pipes. And you could drink out of them. You could pour them all over your head. They had hose pipes running because it was so hot that day. And we came back and won the game. I can't remember if we won it 5-4 or 4-3.
Hang on, I'll tell you. Hang on, give me a second, and I will let you know. I think it was. Miami had 4 for sure. Miami definitely had 4. 6-4 was the final. 6-4 was the final.
6-4 was the final. Yeah. Okay. And we came back and won that game. I'm not sure if that was the same season we went on to play Texas.
It was
in the finals.
It was, and that was the first time of 2 that they beat Clemson in back-to-backs. Remember, not only in 2010, which is part of today's poll, but in 2002, Clemson was in the winner's bracket, and Carolina beat them twice to reach that. And remember, I'm sure you do, Rocky, like most, that was a one-off for the national title back then because CBS was still televising it, and they wanted a Saturday afternoon, winner take all, which not. Well,
so they threw their ace, and they threw their ace, and we threw one young freshman named Aaron Rawl.
Yeah.
In that game, and not long after that, they went to the best 2 out of 3. What if we'd had Texas best 2 out of 3?
Yeah, you never know, man. Once ESPN got the finals back, they just again, ESPN's here for content, and the championship's better because of it. But the Miami Miracle, man, because remember, gosh, 2000 again. You talk about great days. That loss to Lafayette is one of the worst days. And then a very good Carolina team went out to Stanford and lost to the Cardinal to get to the World Series. And this Miami team had won the national title the year prior. They were very good. But I'm looking it up. That was Carolina's 53rd win of the season. They were also excellent.
It's a lot of win.
Excellent.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
A little Sarge Fry Field memory.
Yeah, oh no, man,
Sarge
absolutely. I listen. Back then, Rocky, thanks as always, buddy. I lived about a 90-second walk from the left field third base side entrance to Sarge Fry. It did not take me long, and I mean, I'd gone to Sarge Fry as a kid, but when I was living in college there and post-college, that was now. By then, I had moved, but for a long time, Sarge Fry Field, man. We're just going. Just walk. That's all I had to do back then was flash your ID.
That's nice.
No scanning, no going online to get it to there. Just like, oh, come on in. It was great. I miss the Sarge. I love the new ballpark, and it's not even new anymore. It's 15 years old.
The new ball, yeah. The new ballpark, if it was a person, can almost drive a car now legally.
Well, here's the thing that you'll laugh at me about. Like, Dude Looks Like a Lady by Aerosmith. That came out when I was in high school. I still in my head that's still new Aerosmith to me.
Will always be new Aerosmith, I guess, to you.
Because 70s Aerosmith is what I grew up with.
But it's not new.
Yeah. All right, real quick here. Today's results and look ahead to tomorrow.
Yes, today's results. which results, we have 422 votes, so fantastic participation. This is going to keep running for the next 7 hours. And still, by a pretty good margin, the first College World Series title in 2010, the Whit Merrifield hit, is at 72.7%. Our battle for second place has a new front runner, and that is the men's basketball upset of Duke in 2017 at 13.3%. The 2 College World Series wins against Clemson in 2010 were 12.3%. And my boy Devin Downey and his 30-point performance against previously unbeaten and number 1 Kentucky, sitting at 1.7%.
All right. Now tomorrow.
And now tomorrow, we will have the 2011 College World Series championship against Florida.
Okay.
We'll have beating Florida at the Swamp in 2010 to secure the only SEC East title in program history. I believe 3 or 4 touchdowns for Marcus Lattimore in that game.
Ran for like a mile, man.
Yeah, 40 carries. It's a lot. Number 3, beating Florida in the Elite 8 to go to the 2017 Men's Final Four.
That was fun.
And then beating Tennessee 63-38 in 2022 here at Williams-Brice Stadium.
I'm not going to say. I got a hunch of what tomorrow looks like. I want to see if Gamecock fans match my hunch. We'll find out tomorrow. See y'all.